Here is a 2024 Honda HR-V in platinum white over black interior. The sport trim is going to be unique on the exterior and on the interior. The EXL will get all the bells and whistles, but what are you going to be missing when you get into the sport, and some comparison with pros and cons. I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides, and standard LED headlights in daytime runnings will be found with that reworked headlamp assembly that goes into a more seamless and sporty grille, and this gloss black is only on the sport trim. So it is unique to the styling, and on the lower it gets the matte black. No active grille shutter is needed. And the funny thing about this is if you look at some higher end vehicles, the similarities is hilarious in the sense of this looks similar to near $60,000 to $100,000 cars. You could buy a his and her sharing the same platform as the Civic and powertrain for the 11th gen, increasing nearly 10 inches. So the smallest SUV for a Honda has gotten a huge increase for rear seat and cargo capacity. Standard wheel is 17-inch. Because it's the sport trim, we're getting these sporty gloss black multi-spoke 18-inch alloy wheels. Underneath the hood is a 2.0 liter inline four-cylinder producing 158 horsepower and 138 pound-feet of torque that's paired to a CVT transmission, achieving 26 mpgs for the city and 32 mpgs for the highway. Motivation, this is not a sports car. Just because it says sport, don't think that. But I like that it has a sporty attribute. The gloss black will also be on the side view mirror, and you're getting the same color for the shark fin antenna as the exterior. Kind of wish that they put the gloss black around the side windows, because they do so on the back window, which makes it look more of that European sportback design. Even though this is an SUV, they're keeping that coupe style alive. Gloss black enters into the lower roof spoiler, and then matte black surrounding it. I do like the oval look because it keeps it really sporty, and we get an exhaust tip with the satin aluminum that's going to run on the lower bits. Standard LED taillights. Going to competition like the Mazda CX-30. This is going to be more room, a little bit more practical for your everyday use. You're not going to get a turbocharged, but if you're in Europe, you're going to get a hybrid powertrain that's sourced from the Accord from the prior gen. So for sipping fuel, the Europeans will get that. For a little bit more performance, nobody's going to get that. Quick release going into 24 cubic feet of storage. Lift up here, you got some storage compartments. The best part is you got a spare tire, which everybody likes. I hear it so much in the comments. 12-volt charger, split fold the rear bench because I'm tall. You can do it right here. This is going to increase cargo to 55 cubic feet as soon as it goes down. And you can see that it's a wider and lower opening, so it makes it easier for accessibility. Just because it's a sport with an exhaust tip, let's go inside, start it up so you can hear that exhaust note. Cloth seats, 6-way manual adjustment for the driver, 4-way manual adjustment for the passenger with the orange stitchwork. Leather and heated seats will go on the EXL. This does have heated seats. Headroom is good, and because we don't have a moonroof, it extends about an inch more. Leg space is also good. It's a deep footwell and wide enough because of how this bulges. You can just rest your legs if you're going on a long journey. The dashboard will get the honeycomb design for the air vents, and I like the soft materials that's going to be around it, and they implement that also on the driver. So they're paying attention to detail. 7-inch touchscreen with AM, FM, streaming Bluetooth audio. The 9-inch is only on the EXL with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Here it's wired. Reverse camera, and you can change the camera layouts with trajectory that expands. Climate control, an area that you can put a larger phone with the USB. QI wireless charging pad is only on the EXL. Cup holders are going to be in front, and this bulges out with the soft material. A his and her for USB charging, which I like because you could put maybe 2 smaller phones or just put your mate's phone on top. It's going to be soft materials, opens up into a deep storage pocket in driving modes. You have normal, econ, and snow, which is more than enough. You don't need 17 different driving modes like the Pilot. 7-inch digital reader is going to be on the driver's side that can go through an array of information, including your maintenance and safety settings. Leather-wrapped steering wheel, multi-function with that contrast stitching. And a moonroof will only be on the EXL. The door panels integrate into the dash, and I like how everything bulges in. You get this light touch of gloss black and the contrast stitching that's going to match the dash and that his and her layout here. One touch up and down for the windows. It's pretty soft where you're resting your arms. A cup or bottle holder that's going to be in the front, and another little storage pocket. Headroom is not going to be a problem for the back, and because the way it's designed, it's oval, you can move around freely. The same thing with leg space, and you kind of recline back the way the seats are. There isn't anything to rest your arms, no USB or air vents in the center, but you get a little storage, and you get storage beyond the passenger seat. The door panel will have the same materials that's found in the front. That contrast stitching, the his and her look, it comes into the back. Storage pocket, maybe a beverage can fit. You're not getting the gloss black. You're going to get matte black. Scooting over, you got to lift your feet up. The floor is not completely flat. The rails are pushed up enough, so you will share some feet space, butt and shoulder space will also be shared because it's not necessarily so wide. But for a small SUV, you can fit 3 adults my dimensions. 17 horsepower more than the prior gen, 11 pound-feet of torque with the same powertrain as the Civic, 158 horsepower, 138 pound-feet of torque. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, and we also have increased to nearly 10 inches longer. It's around 1 to near 2 inches wider, so it gives a lot more interior space, which when you are looking at comparable rivals, you're trying to get the best bang for your buck when you're looking in this price category. And Honda really set itself on a higher level because you're getting that, especially if you go into the sport trim. You're getting some unique exterior, and in the interior, you get that contrast stitching that makes it pop a little bit more so. The EXL is nice if you like leather seating, but for this price category, I think I would just save the few $1,000s and maybe enjoy a weekend. This is not something you take on the track, but let's see the performance. Drives like it's supposed to. CVT transmission, getting pretty decent MPGs. I kind of wish we had the hybrid powertrain like they get in Europe, but we don't get it here. And that's going to take me to some pros and cons, and starting with the pros. You're getting a lot of standard amenities, LED and exterior lights. You're getting increased cargo and leg space for the second row occupants. For the disadvantage or con, we don't get the magic seats, which you could fit an 8-foot canoe inside the old generation. Another con for 24, there is no changes. This is just a carryover, but on the plus, this was just refreshed last year. So I like the dashboard layout. Everything is more or less coming from the Civic's parts bin. I kind of wish that we had a larger screen, but I understand you have to go to the EXL because there's not an option for it, which is another con. You do have to go up trim levels in order to get features. So if you want the wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, you need to go to the EXL. You want the dual climate control settings? The same thing. No ventilated seat option, which for the sport trim, I kind of would have liked to see something like a ventilated seat option because this is a sporty looking car. Braking on the vehicle, it's not as airtight as the prior gen, but it's still pretty good because we have increased in the length and also the weight. Another pro is we don't have a pass-through, but we have a his and her, which is more unique, in which the USB ports are stationed right by both of the front occupants. So it is a lot more user-friendly. Even if you're not tall, you can still more or less have an area that you can rest your arms. Even underneath the climate control, you have a lot more space, which would be normally a QI charger if you're in the EXL, but because we're not, it just gives optimal cargo capacity in the front. Look at this thing go. She's quick. You sit a little low, but the clearance is still good. I wouldn't consider this to be an off-road vehicle. It does have that rugged profile, and I like the sporty attributes like I was saying on the exterior, because some vehicles that touch into a $60,000 to $100,000 price point look like this, and I'm gonna leave that for the people in the comments to just have some fun with. Another con you have to watch, if it says BD, that means you do not have blind spot detection. It's a delete. They still have it for 24 models. Turn radius, it's about a lane and a half, 2 lanes. So you will hear the engine anytime you're at 2.5 to 3 RPMs, and it does sound like a drone note. As for the steering, it's light. Definitely an everyday vehicle. I kind of wish I had some power seat adjustments. I'm not a huge fan of manual seat adjustments. And sometimes you got to beep the horn to wake people up because they just want to sit at a green light. It's a smoother driving vehicle than the prior gen. It's actually a lot more quiet too. Even if you get up onto the interstate, you'll hear the engine a little bit more and some more air noise filtering in, but it's not something that is like last gen. So I like that the sound deadening has been improved. The ride quality is also better. You don't feel as much of the imperfections in the road, and the seats are wide and long enough. So if you're comparing it against Toyota, you actually have more of a seat and comfort in this with the cushioning all in together. Going against the Mazda CX-30, this is going to be longer, so it's going to beat it in cargo capacity, leg space for the second row, head space for all occupants, and it also is wider too. If you go to the CX-50, I would say that's going to be a little bit more comparable. But then the price point to that is going to escalate to over $10,000 more than this, depending on the features you get. And if you go to the Meridian Edition, you're already in the $40,000+ price point, which this fully loaded is around $30,000. So you can see what I mean by a deal. It's just this. It's not a deal breaker. It just would have been nicer to see a little bit more performance than just giving it what it has for the Civic powertrain. Maybe throw a turbocharge so that way you go back a little bit and it gives you that sporty feel, hence the Sport Trim name. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Check out the next video, merchandise, website, and Instagram. Leave a comment and a like. And I'd like to thank Ocean Honda for giving us this 2024 Honda HR-V for our car review.